The stale air of Outpost 7's docking bay carried the familiar scent of engine oil and recycled oxygen. Raven Blackwood's boots echoed against the metal floor as she approached her ship, the Starweaver. Another routine supply run completed, another payday secured. At least, that's what she thought until she noticed the slight shimmer near her ship's access panel. "You know," she called out, her hand resting casually on her pulse pistol, "there are easier ways to get a ride than breaking into someone's ship." The shimmer paused, then coalesced into a humanoid form. Raven's breath caught in her throat. The being before her was unlike any alien she'd encountered in her decade of deep space hauling. Its body appeared to be made of living crystal, with facets that caught the dim light of the station and reflected it in mesmerizing patterns. The crystalline structure was semi-transparent, revealing swirling patterns of energy beneath the surface. "I apologize for the intrusion." The being spoke, its voice carrying an otherworldly harmonic quality. "I am Nova, and I require immediate transport." Raven raised an eyebrow, maintaining her relaxed pose while keeping her hand near her weapon. Most people start with a conversation, maybe a drink. Breaking and entering isn't the best first impression. "There is no time for standard protocols," Nova replied, the energy patterns within its crystalline form swirling more rapidly. "My people are in danger. Every moment we delay." A distant explosion rocked the station, cutting off Nova's words. Emergency lights began flashing throughout the docking bay. "That would be my pursuers," Nova said, the crystalline plates of its face shifting in what Raven interpreted as concern. "They cannot be allowed to capture me. The fate of my entire species depends on it." Raven's mind raced. Station security would be here soon, and her instincts told her this situation was far more complicated than a simple attempted theft. The crystalline being before her radiated an urgency that felt genuine, and in her experience, most thieves didn't stick around to chat when caught. Another explosion, closer this time. Through the station's viewport, Raven spotted a sleek black ship that definitely wasn't station security. Its design was aggressive, predatory, with weapon ports that pulsed with an ominous energy. "Last chance to explain yourself," Raven said, drawing her pulse pistol but keeping it pointed downward. "Why are they after you? And what exactly happens if they catch you?" Nova's crystalline form shifted, creating a holographic display in the air between them. It showed a beautiful world of crystal spires and flowing energy rivers, then transformed to reveal horror. The same crystalline beings as Nova, but with their inner light dimmed, moving in unnaturally perfect synchronization like puppets on strings. "My people are being enslaved," Nova explained, the harmonics in its voice carrying deep sorrow. "The symmetrists have developed a way to override our consciousness, to turn us into nothing more than processors in their vast network. I have discovered how to prevent it, but I need to reach the resistance movement on my homeworld before it's too late." The black ship was drawing closer, and Raven could hear the heavy boots of station security approaching from the other direction. She had seconds to make a decision that could change not just her life, but potentially the fate of an entire species. "Please," Nova said softly, its crystalline form dimming slightly. "I know I have given you no reason to trust me, but I am out of options. Help me save my people, and I will ensure you are compensated beyond anything you could earn in a lifetime of hauling cargo." Raven holstered her pulse pistol and quickly typed her access code into the ship's panel. "Get in," she said, making a decision that would forever alter her path among the stars. "But if you're lying to me, you'll learn why they call me the best shot in the Outer Rim." As they boarded the Starweaver, the black ship opened fire on the station, its energy weapons leaving scorch marks on the reinforced hull. Raven slid into the pilot's seat, her fingers dancing across the controls with practiced ease. "Strap in," she told Nova, engaging the ship's engines. "This is going to get interesting." The pursuing ship launched another volley, but Raven was already moving. She rolled the Starweaver through a gap in the station's structure that was barely wider than her ship, using the station itself as a shield. The maneuver would have made most pilots hesitate, but Raven had built her reputation on doing the impossible. As they accelerated away from the station, Nova's crystalline form caught the light of nearby stars, creating a dazzling display in the cockpit. "Thank you," it said, genuine gratitude resonating in its harmonic voice. "I promise you will not regret this decision." Raven checked her sensors, plotting a course through the debris field that surrounded the station. The black ship was still in pursuit, but she had a few tricks up her sleeve. "Save your thanks until we're safely away. And while we're running for our lives, maybe you can tell me exactly what we're up against." The stars stretched into lines as the Starweaver jumped to faster-than-light travel, carrying its unlikely pair of passengers toward an adventure that would challenge everything they thought they knew about trust, freedom, and the power of choice. The Starweaver's engines hummed steadily as it cut through hyperspace, its reinforced hull protecting its passengers from the chaotic energies outside. In the ship's small common area, Nova's crystalline form cast prismatic patterns across the metal walls as it explained the full scope of their situation. "The symmetrists believe in perfect order," Nova said, creating intricate holographic displays that showed vast networks of interconnected consciousness. "They saw my people, the Lumini, as the perfect solution to their quest for computational harmony. Our crystalline forms naturally process and transmit energy patterns, thoughts, emotions, memories." Raven leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "And they decided to help themselves to your processing power. Worse," Nova's form dimmed slightly. "They developed a wave that can override our natural thought patterns, forcing our consciousness into their network. Each corrupted Lumini becomes another node in their vast calculation engine, forever trapped in perfect, emotionless efficiency." The holographic display shifted, showing the transformation process. Raven watched as the bright, individual lights of Lumini consciousness were forced into rigid, uniform patterns. "Why do they need so much processing power?" Nova hesitated, its crystalline plates shifting in what Raven was beginning to recognize as distress. "They seek to calculate the fundamental equation of reality itself. The symmetrists believe that if they can process enough variables, they can predict and control everything. The movement of galaxies, the thoughts of every sentient being, the very fabric of existence." "That's insane." Raven pushed off from the wall, pacing the small space. "The universe isn't some math problem you can solve." "We agree." Nova's voice carried a hint of warmth. "The Lumini believe in the beauty of uncertainty, the power of choice. But we are losing this fight. Already, 60% of my people have been converted. Those who resist are hunted. The resistance movement has discovered a potential weakness in the symmetrists' control wave, but we lack the resources to exploit it." The ship's proximity alarm suddenly blared. Raven rushed to the cockpit, Nova flowing behind her like liquid crystal. The sensors showed 3 ships emerging from hyperspace on an intercept course. "Symmetrist hunters," Nova confirmed, its energy patterns swirling faster. "They must have calculated our most probable escape route." Raven's hands flew over the controls, already plotting a new course. "Well, let's show them how probability holds up against human unpredictability." She yanked the ship out of hyperspace near a dense asteroid field. The Starweaver's engines screamed as Raven pushed them to their limit, weaving between massive rocks with reckless precision. The pursuing ships were faster, more advanced, but their perfect calculations couldn't account for Raven's intuitive flying style. "Your flying pattern," Nova observed, its voice filled with fascination. "It defies all standard evasive algorithms." "That's because I'm not following any algorithms," Raven grinned, executing a spin that brought them terrifyingly close to a tumbling asteroid. "I'm following my gut." One of the pursuing ships, trying to match her maneuvers exactly, clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. The other 2 pulled back, seeming to recalculate their approach. "This is why the symmetrists fear humanity," Nova said softly. "Your species embraces chaos, thrives in uncertainty. You make choices based on incomplete data, trust in intuition over pure logic. To them, you are a dangerous variable that cannot be controlled. Raven spotted a gap between two colliding asteroids and made a split-second decision. Hold on to something, she warned, then threw the ship into a roll that took them through the narrowing space, just before the asteroids crashed together behind them. The pursuing ships were forced to pull back, unable to follow. They'll find us again, Nova warned as they cleared the asteroid field. The Symmetrist's computational network spans galaxies. They can calculate countless possible futures, tracking us through probability itself. Then we'll have to do something improbable, Raven replied, studying her navigation charts. You said the Resistance has found a weakness in their control wave. Tell me more about that. Nova projected a complex diagram showing wave patterns and energy frequencies. The control wave requires perfect resonance to maintain its hold on Lumini consciousness. Even a small disruption in the right frequency could cascade through their entire network, freeing those they've enslaved. But generating such a disruption would require technology we don't have access to. Raven's eyes lit up with an idea. What about technology they've never encountered before? Something they couldn't have included in their calculations. She pulled up information about their current sector, pointing to a location marked as restricted. There's an abandoned research station here, officially quarantined after some classified human experiments with consciousness transfer technology. If the Symmetrists are as afraid of human unpredictability as you say, they probably haven't factored it into their precious calculations. Nova's crystalline form brightened with hope. Such technology, combined with Lumini energy manipulation, yes, it could work, but the station will be dangerous. Failed consciousness transfer experiments often leave behind echoes. Dangerous is better than impossible, Raven said, already setting their new course. Besides, I've always wanted to explore a haunted space station. As they changed direction, heading toward what could be either their salvation or their doom, Raven glanced at her crystalline companion. You know, for someone who tried to steal my ship, you're not bad company. Nova's form shimmered in what might have been amusement. For someone who caught me trying to steal their ship, you are surprisingly helpful. Yeah, well, Raven checked their pursuit vectors, ensuring they weren't being followed. Saving an entire species from mind control would look pretty good on my resume. The abandoned research station loomed before them, a dark silhouette against the crimson nebula behind it. Raven guided the Starweaver through a field of debris, approaching a docking port that had long since lost its warning lights. Station archives identify this as Project Echo, Raven said, studying the old data scrolling across her screen. They were researching ways to digitize human consciousness, trying to achieve immortality through technology. Nova's crystalline form pulsed with concern, and they failed. Spectacularly, Raven confirmed, engaging the docking sequence. The official report says they managed to transfer consciousness, but something went wrong. The digital minds became unstable, corrupted. They shut everything down and quarantined the station. The docking clamps engaged with a shutter that ran through the entire ship. Raven checked her environment suit one last time, ensuring all seals were secure. She picked up her pulse pistol, along with a portable scanner she'd modified to detect energy signatures. Stay close to me, she told Nova as they approached the airlock. If there really are ghost programs running around in there, your energy manipulation abilities might be our best defense. The station's artificial gravity was still functioning, though at reduced power. Their boots magnetized with each step, compensating for the fluctuations. Emergency lights cast long shadows through the corridors, and the air tasted stale, even through Raven's suit filters. The research labs should be 2 levels down, Raven said, consulting her scanner. But these energy readings are strange. There's something still active down there. Nova moved closer to her, its crystalline form providing additional illumination. I sense echoes of consciousness, fragmented and distorted. The human minds they tried to digitize. Pieces of them remain. trapped in the station's systems. As if in response to Nova's words, the lights around them flickered. Static crackled through their comms, resolving into whispered fragments of words. Helpless. Can't remember. Make it stop. Raven felt the hair on the back of her neck stand up. Well, that's not creepy at all. They reached a sealed laboratory door. The control panel was dark, but Nova placed its crystalline hand against it. Energy flowed from its form into the circuits, and the door slid open with a protesting groan. The laboratory beyond was a testament to ambition gone wrong. Rows of transfer pods lined the walls, their neural interface cables hanging like dead vines. In the center of the room, a massive quantum processor hummed softly, still running after all these years. This is what we need. Nova moved toward the processor, its energy patterns aligning with the machine's frequencies. The human consciousness transfer technology operated on principles similar to the symmetrist's control wave. If we can understand how it failed, we might find our solution. Raven approached one of the transfer pods, wiping dust from its display screen. These pods were designed to hold human bodies while their consciousness was uploaded, but something in the transfer process corrupted the. She was cut off as all the screens in the laboratory suddenly lit up at once. Lines of code raced across them, too fast to read. The whispers in their comms grew louder, more coherent. "You shouldn't be here." A chorus of digital voices spoke in unison. "This place is our prison, our tomb." Nova's crystalline form brightened defensively. "We seek knowledge to save my people from a similar fate. Please, help us understand what went wrong." The screens flickered, showing fragments of memory. Scientists excited about their breakthrough, the first successful transfers, and then the horror of minds fragmenting in the digital void. "We thought we could reduce consciousness to pure data," the voices explained. "But human minds aren't meant to be perfect. We need our flaws, our chaos, our ability to forget and change and grow. When they tried to optimize us, to make us run more efficiently, we lost ourselves." Raven's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "That's it. Nova, don't you see? The symmetrists are making the same mistake. They're trying to force Lumini consciousness into perfect, efficient patterns. But consciousness isn't meant to be perfect." Nova's energy patterns swirled with excitement. "Yes, our natural state involves constant flow, change, even contradiction. By trying to impose absolute order, they're causing the same kind of corruption these humans experienced, just more slowly, more controlled." The quantum processor's hum changed pitch as the digital voices spoke again. "Take our code, our failure. Show them what happens when you try to perfect consciousness." Data began streaming from the processor into Nova's crystalline form. The beam absorbed it, its internal energy patterns shifting and realigning as it processed the information. "This is incredible," Nova said. "The transfer code, the error patterns, they're exactly what we need. We can modify the symmetrist's control wave, turn their desire for perfection against them." Suddenly, the station's emergency sirens blared to life. Raven checked her scanner and swore under her breath. "We've got company. 3 symmetrist ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They've calculated our location." Nova's voice was urgent. "We need to leave now." As they rushed back toward the Starweaver, the digital voices followed them through the station speakers. "Run. Fight. Stay imperfect. Stay free." The journey back to the ship was a blur of flashing lights and echoing warnings. As Raven threw herself into the pilot's seat, she could see the symmetrist ships approaching through the view screen, their weapons charging. "Please tell me you got everything we need," she said, initiating emergency undocking procedures. Nova's form pulsed with determined confidence. "I have the key to saving my people. Now we just have to reach them before the symmetrists stop us." "Just another impossible task," Raven grinned, pushing her ship's engines to full power. "My favorite kind." The Starweaver streaked through hyperspace, its engines straining as Raven pushed them beyond their rated limits. In the co-pilot's seat, Nova's crystalline form pulsed with rapidly shifting patterns as it processed the data from the research station. "The symmetrists will be waiting for us," Nova said, projecting a holographic map of their destination. "They've had time to calculate our most likely course of action and prepare countermeasures." Raven studied the map, noting the massive fleet gathered around Nova's homeworld. "Good thing we're not going to do what they expect." She pointed to a section of the planet's rings. "These mineral deposits, would they interfere with their sensors?" "The crystals in the rings share properties with Lumini physiology," Nova confirmed. "They create natural interference patterns, but threading through the rings at faster than light speeds would be suicidal." Raven grinned. "That's exactly why it'll work. The symmetrists base everything on probability calculations. What's the probability of someone being crazy enough to use an FTL ring dive as a stealth approach?" Before Nova could answer, the ship's sensors detected a massive energy surge. The fabric of space itself seemed to ripple as a vast structure phased into existence directly in their path. The symmetrist flagship was unlike anything Raven had ever seen, a perfect geometric shape that seemed to exist in more dimensions than her eyes could process. "Improbable variable detected," a voice echoed through their communication system, carrying the same harmonics as Nova's but stripped of all emotion. "Your resistance is disrupting the efficiency of our calculations. You will be eliminated." Raven's hands flew over the controls, preparing for the most dangerous maneuver of her career. "Nova, I need you to interface with the ship's systems. When I give the word, channel your energy through the deflector shields. We're going to need every bit of protection we can get." The geometric ship fired, sending a beam of pure mathematical probability toward them. Reality itself seemed to warp around the beam, trying to force their ship into the most statistically likely outcome, their destruction. But Raven wasn't interested in probability. She cut power to everything except engines and shields, then spun the ship in a pattern that she was making up on the spot. The probability beam passed through the space where they should have been, where logic dictated they would be. "Impossible," the emotionless voice stated. "Your flight pattern matches no known tactical algorithms." "That's because I don't know any tactical algorithms," Raven shot back, diving the ship toward the planet's rings. "I'm making this up as I go." Nova's energy merged with the ship's systems, strengthening their shields as they approached the dense field of crystals. "The ring dive must be precisely timed," it warned. "Too early or too late." "Trust me," Raven said softly, her eyes focused on the closing distance. The crystalline rings filled their view, massive chunks of mineral spinning in deadly patterns. Behind them, the geometric ship launched another probability beam. At the last possible moment, Raven engaged the faster-than-light drive. The Starweaver shot into the rings, reality blurring around them. They were traveling far too fast to avoid the obstacles ahead, but that was part of the plan. Nova's energy suffused the shields, allowing them to phase partially through the crystalline fragments in a way that defied conventional physics. The ship screamed in protest as they threaded through gaps that were technically too small to navigate. Warning lights flashed across every console as systems redlined, but Raven's impossible course, combined with Nova's energy manipulation, kept them just barely ahead of total destruction. When they emerged from the rings, they were skimming the planet's atmosphere on the opposite side from the symmetrist fleet. Raven cut power to all non-essential systems, letting them drift in the sensor shadow of the crystalline debris. "We made it," she breathed, finally relaxing her death grip on the controls. "How long until they realize where we are?" "Their probability calculations will eventually account for our survival," Nova replied, its form dimming slightly as it recovered from the energy expenditure. "But it will take time. They cannot comprehend choices that have a near-zero chance of success." Raven turned to face her crystalline companion, noting how the light of the nearby sun played through its facets. "Near zero isn't zero. That's something you learn pretty quick as a human. Sometimes the impossible choice is the only one worth making." Nova's form shifted, creating patterns that Raven had learned to recognize as a smile. I understand now why the symmetrists fear humanity so much. Your ability to embrace uncertainty, to choose hope over probability, it is beautiful. Their moment was interrupted by a signal from the surface, a pattern of energy pulses that Nova recognized. The resistance, it explained excitedly. They're still fighting. That transmission contains coordinates for a hidden base in the Crystal Mountains. As they began their careful descent through the atmosphere, Raven thought about everything that had brought them to this point. A chance encounter with a desperate being trying to steal her ship had turned into a mission to save an entire species from having their consciousness enslaved. When this is over, she said, plotting their approach to the coordinates, assuming we survive and manage to free your people. Yes. Nova's harmonics carried a note of curiosity. Maybe we could explore some more impossible probabilities together. The galaxy's a big place, and I could use a co-pilot who knows how to break the laws of physics. Nova's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been joy. I would like that. Though perhaps next time we could meet under circumstances that don't involve theft. Where's the fun in that? Raven laughed, but her expression turned serious as they approached the mountains. First, though, we have a revolution to start. Ready to show the symmetrists what happens when you try to calculate the incalculable. Ready, Nova confirmed as they descended toward the hidden base. It's time to introduce some human chaos into their perfect equations. The crystal mountains of Nova's homeworld sparkled like frozen fire in the light of the setting sun. The resistance base was hidden within a massive geode formation, its natural interference patterns making it invisible to symmetrist sensors. As Raven and Nova made their way through the hidden entrance, they were met by a group of free lumini, their crystalline forms dulled by the strain of constant resistance. Nova, you returned. One stepped forward, its form shifting with relief. When we lost contact, I found more than help, Commander Zenith. Nova gestured to Raven. I found hope. We have the key to breaking the symmetrists' control. Inside the base's central chamber, Nova projected the data they'd recovered from the abandoned research station. The corrupted human consciousness transfer codes merged with holographic displays of the symmetrists' control wave, revealing the fatal flaw in their perfect system. The symmetrists believe they can reduce consciousness to pure mathematics, Nova explained to the gathered resistance fighters. But the human experiments proved what happens when you try to force consciousness into perfect patterns. Raven stepped forward, adding her perspective. Your natural state is one of constant change, like ours. The symmetrists aren't elevating your consciousness. They're crippling it, trying to make it something it was never meant to be. Commander Zenith studied the data, their crystalline form pulsing with understanding. But how do we use this? The symmetrists' network spans the entire planet, even if we could disrupt it. We don't need to disrupt the whole network at once. Nova's form brightened with excitement. We just need to introduce the right kind of chaos into their perfect equation. A cascade of uncertainty that will spread through their entire system. The base's sensors suddenly lit up with warnings. Above them, the geometric shapes of the symmetrist fleet were descending through the atmosphere. They found us. Zenith's harmonics carried tones of fear. They're launching a planetary assault. Raven studied the tactical display, her mind racing. No, she said slowly, this is perfect. They're connecting all their ships to the control network, trying to maximize their computational efficiency. They're making their system even more vulnerable. Nova caught on to her thinking. If we could upload the corrupted consciousness code into their primary node, it would spread through their entire network, Raven finished. But someone would need to get close enough to their flagship to establish a direct connection. Close enough to sacrifice themselves, Nova said quietly. The uploader would be caught in the cascade effect. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Outside, they could hear the distant sound of symmetrist weapons firing, methodically destroying the mountain's protective crystal formations. I'll do it. Nova stepped forward. It was my mission to save our people. my consciousness to risk. No, Raven caught Nova's crystalline hand. We'll do it together. You said it yourself. Human consciousness is especially disruptive to their systems. If we merge the corrupted code with both Lumini and human thought patterns, the chaos would be uncontainable. Nova's form pulsed with realization. But Raven, the chance of surviving. Never tell me the odds. Raven grinned. Besides, we're pretty good at beating probability. The plan came together quickly. While the resistance fighters prepared a diversion, Raven and Nova would take the Starweaver on a suicide run at the Symmetrist flagship. They would use Nova's energy manipulation abilities to breach the ship's quantum shields, then establish a direct neural connection to upload the corrupted code. As they made their final preparations, Nova turned to Raven. Why are you willing to risk everything for my people? Raven checked her weapons one last time, then looked up at the crystalline being who had changed her life. Because some things are worth any probability of failure, because your people deserve to be free, and because she stepped closer, placing her hand against Nova's crystalline surface, feeling the energy pulse beneath. I've never been good at walking away from impossible odds, especially when they come with beautiful crystalline aliens. The assault began at dawn. The resistance fighters launched a coordinated attack on the Symmetrist ground forces, creating a gap in their perfect defensive patterns. The Starweaver shot through the opening, with Raven at the controls and Nova channeling energy directly into the ship's systems. The Symmetrist flagship loomed above them, its geometric perfection an affront to the natural chaos of space. Your actions are futile. The emotionless voice of the Symmetrist collective echoed through their communications. We have calculated every possible outcome. You cannot succeed. You calculated wrong, Raven replied, pushing her ship to its absolute limits. You forgot to factor in one critical variable. What variable? Love. At that moment, Nova released a pulse of pure energy, temporarily disrupting the flagship's shields. Raven crashed the Starweaver directly into the breach, the impact sending them tumbling into the ship's quantum processor core. As alarms blared and system failures cascaded around them, Raven and Nova joined hands. Ready? Raven asked, her heart racing. With you? Always. They connected to the processor core, their combined consciousness, human chaos, and Lumini energy, merging with the corrupted code from the research station. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The perfect patterns of the Symmetrist network began to fracture as uncertainty and free will cascaded through their equations. Throughout the planet, enslaved Lumini began to wake up. The rigid geometric shapes of the Symmetrist fleet started to break apart as their perfect calculations dissolved into beautiful chaos. And in the heart of the flagship, something impossible happened. Instead of being destroyed by the cascade, Raven and Nova's combined consciousness created something new. A harmony of chaos and crystal, of human unpredictability and Lumini energy. They became living proof that perfection wasn't about flawless patterns, but about finding beauty in the improbable. When they regained consciousness, they found themselves lying in the wreckage of the flagship's core, surrounded by confused but free Lumini. Raven's hand was still intertwined with Nova's crystalline form, both of them forever changed by their connection. Did we just rewrite the laws of probability? Raven asked weakly. Nova's form shimmered with joy and amusement. I believe we did something even more improbable. We proved that love doesn't follow mathematical rules. In the days that followed, Nova's people began the process of rebuilding their society, this time embracing the beauty of imperfection and change. The Symmetrists, their perfect network shattered, retreated to the depths of space, their certainty about the nature of consciousness forever disrupted. As for Raven and Nova, they kept their promise to explore impossible probabilities together. The Starweaver was repaired, enhanced with crystalline technology that defied conventional physics. They became legends in the space lanes, the human pilot who loved chaos, and the crystalline being who learned to embrace it. proving that the most beautiful patterns in the universe are the ones that can't be calculated. You know, Raven said one day as they sail through an uncharted nebula, I never did thank you for trying to steal my ship. Nova's crystalline form sparkled with laughter. And I never thank you for catching me. Here's to impossible probabilities. Raven raised her glass to her crystalline co-pilot. And the chaos they bring. Nova finished, their energy patterns harmonizing in a way that made the stars themselves seem to dance.